Treason, preditio, in its very name, which is borrowed from the French, imports a betraying, treachery, or breach of faith. It therefore happens only between allies, says the Mirror. 2. For treason is indeed a general appellation, made use of by the law, to denote not only offenses against the king and government, but also that accumulation of guilt which arises whenever a superior reposes a confidence in a subject or inferior, between whom and himself there subsists a natural, a civil, or even a spiritual relation. An inferior so abuses that confidence, so forgets the obligations of duty, subjection, and allegiance, as to destroy the life of any such his superior or lord. This is looked upon as proceeding from the same principle of treachery in private life, as would have urged him who harbors it to have conspired in public against his liege lord and sovereign, and therefore for a wife to kill her lord or husband, a servant his lord or master, and an ecclesiastic his lord or ordinary, these being breaches of the lower allegiance, of private and domestic faith, are denominated petite treasons. But when disloyalty so rears its crest, as to attack even majesty itself, it is called by way of eminent distinction high treason, alta preditio, being equivalent to the crime in lese majestatis, crime of high treason, of the Romans, as Glanville III denominates it also in our English law. As this is the highest civil crime, which considered as a member of the community any man can possibly commit, it ought therefore to be the most precisely ascertained. For if the crime of high treason be indeterminate, this alone, says the President Montesquieu, is sufficient to make any government degenerate into arbitrary power. 4 And yet, by the ancient common law, there was a great latitude left in the breast of the judges, to determine what was treason, or not so, whereby the creatures of tyrannical princes had opportunity to create abundance of constructive treasons, that is, to raise, by forced and arbitrary constructions, offenses into the crime and punishment of treason, which never were suspected to be such. Thus the encroaching, or attempting to exercise, royal power, a very uncertain charge, was in the 21 EDW. 3. Held to be treason in a knight of Hertfordshire who forcibly assaulted and detained one of the king's subjects till he paid him £90. 5. A crime, it must be owned, well deserving of punishment, but which seems to be of a complexion very different from that of treason. Killing the king's father, or brother, or even his messenger, has also fallen under the same denomination. 6. The latter of which is almost as tyrannical a doctrine as that of the imperial constitution of Arcadius and Honorius, which determines that any attempts or designs against the ministers of the prince shall be treason. 7. But however, to prevent the inconveniences which began to arise in England from this multitude of constructive treasons, the Statute 25 EDW. 3. c. 2. was made, which defines what offenses only for the future should be held to be treason. In like manner as the Lex Julia Majestatis, Julian law of treason, among the Romans, promulgated by Augustus Caesar, comprehended all the ancient laws that had before been enacted to punish transgressors against the state. 8. This statute must therefore be our text and guide, in order to examine into the several species of high treason. And we shall find that it comprehends all kinds of high treason under 7 distinct branches.